Welcome back, everyone. Okay, it is February 5th, 2026. It's Thursday, and it's about 5:30 in the evening, Eastern Time, and I wanted to jump into these charts. Boy, oh boy, what the heck is going on? First of all, let's just look at what's happening here. Let's zoom up for a second here, okay? And the last video that I made, I was saying that we needed to break this right over here, this structure, in order to move up. In fact, let me jump over to the other chart. Here it is, right here. This is exactly it. Let's jump over here. So this is what I drew last time. We needed to break this in order to move back up, possibly into the range. And I said that I could see us going lower. But if we did not hold this section right here, we are going much lower. And yeah, it's crazy. So first of all, I want to talk about a couple things besides the fact that this market is being wonky. I want to talk about exactly what's happening here. And honestly, what's going on is that over here, this is when everybody was really kind of like ready to go. Yeah, we're going on all-time high. This was the point where we thought we were going to break out of this zone here and really work our way back up above the 50% range, right? But unfortunately, it turned out that we are just falling. We have now fallen off the cliff, right? In fact, let me do that a little bit better. Let me make it down here for more dramatic emphasis, right? This is kind of where we're at right now, and we've been nonstop falling off this cliff since. And okay, so that's what's happening right now, right? But there are a couple things that I want to say. While this is dropping, and this was our big drop that we've got, there is fear in the market like crazy. Nobody knows what's going on. Everyone's trying to figure out, like, should I sell my bag? Should I not sell my bag? Should I play, leverage? Should I this and that? I don't know what's going on there. Should I, what's going on here? Like, are we going to zero? And because of that, the fear index is really the lowest. It's at its low point right over here. So this is the fear and greed index. And this works exactly like a chart. And I wanted to show you this because, first of all, we are in extreme fear. At this point, people are bailing left and right. Like, they are just trying to get out, and they don't know where it's going to go or anything like that. They don't really have a plan. It's just what it is. But I want you to take a notice at this. First of all, this was an extreme fear moment right here. And notice that we took a bounce up just like a normal chart, okay? This was also a extreme fear. And look at where we are right now. We are back in that zone. So what happens is they say, when there's fear and blood in the market, it's a great buying opportunity, right? And when you're at your all-time high or at the top of the range or anything like that, and the greed factor is really high, that's when you sell. Now, this looks really similar to what I've been putting on the chart, right? On the chart, you could see that there's a long area and there's a short area that I map out. All of these charts work in very similar ways, and you cannot change like the feelings that you get when you get down to these zones. Down here, it's scary. Up here, it's euphoria, right? So it makes you question, should I be doing that, right? But what I'm going to do is I want to pull out a date here. We will pick out a date, and it looks like it's November 22nd, right? November 22nd. We had an extreme fear on November 22nd. So let me find November 22nd and draw a vertical line on there. So here, that is November 22nd. In fact, let's just go back a little bit more so that we get another one. So here's the next one right over here. This looks like it is April 9th. So let's look for April 9th. Let's see what happened around April 9th. What is that? April 9th of 2005, right? April 9th of 2005. So let's grab one of these lines. April 9th, April. It's back here. Oh, I'll take this. April 9th. There. 2 markings on the chart. Look what happened when we got down to those zones. This was scary. Look at this downplay. This was a scary moment to buy. And notice this was the range low, okay? And here was the other extreme fear that we had, right? And look what it did. It came back and it recovered, but it came after all of this down, this extreme down. So now we've got this really exaggerated move. I mean, this arc right here is, I mean, we basically went straight down. And I haven't seen this kind of move in a very, very long time. And the amount of sell pressure is off the chart, right? But what I do know is this. We are now at extreme fear right here. So if I put a marking right over here, right there, I mean, based off of what it did on some of these other moves, there was a buying opportunity. Buying. Buy low, sell high, right? Same exact thing. Now let's go back over and, you know, I'm going to beat this horse a little bit, right? Let's go over to where the greed was. So the greed was that March 13th, 2000, March 13th, 2004. March 13th, 2004. Let's get rid of this. March 13th. March. March 13th. There. Look at that. That marked the top of this range. This was the range right over here. Look at that. So the fear and greed index really can show you when it might be time to buy and when it might be time to sell. The more fear there is, the better the opportunity of buying. Now, this is not financial advice, right? Now, understand, excuse me, I mentioned before that I am buying spot. Because the thing is that if I bought spot over here or I bought spot over here, right, I am not playing leverage. There's no leverage there. So if I were to measure this, this is about a 20% drop from this point. But it's only a 20% temporary drop. I'm still holding on to my tokens. So in turn, the way that I usually plan things is I end up, you know, DCAing. So I buy here and then I buy a little bit more over here and then I'll buy a lot more there, right? And each time what I do is I do like, you know, let's just put this in hundreds of dollars, right? If I put $100 in this spot right here, then I would put $200 over here. And then I would put $400 down over here, right? Spreading that the lower we go, the bigger my bag gets, but also like I end up taking these and it ends up shifting lower so that I make a profit on that part. So I come up with a plan that works, okay? Where the impact of the hit is not so bad. Now, I don't believe that we are in a, let me hide these for now. Hide. Okay. I don't believe that crypto is one of those technologies that are just going to go away. There is so much money that was made in this market, and it is a proven technology at this point. Everything is transparent, transactions work, tons of money is moved left and right. And that means that, you know, even if we were to come all the way back down to 10K, then 10K will have an opportunity to bounce back up. It is not going to die out, in my opinion, at all, because there is a significant movement of money. It's shifting, the technology works, it's proven, and beyond anything else, the use case or anything like blah, 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 how far you want to go down in a rabbit hole, this tech works. Now, the problem is that people end up choosing assets that don't really do anything. Like, for example, and you know, I'm going to hate to do this, but I'm going to point it out here. So XRP, people love XRP. And they've got like this rule, like, oh, it's going to change society. It's going to do all of these things. But the chart says something different, right? And if you were to look at this chart and you were to measure from here to where the top was, you are 200% down on your bag from there, okay? Now, if I were to go and measure Ethereum, right? Let's go with Ethereum here. Let's go to the top here. You are about 170% down on your bag, right? And if you were to choose Bitcoin at this point, if I were to measure from here to here, notice that it gets lower and lower. It is 100% difference between these assets. Now, I'm going to go a little bit further down the line because it's important that you get this, right? If I were to go over to ApeCoin and go measure from here to the top over here, right there, you're talking about 1,800% down. Whatever you put up here is now shingles, shillings, it's dust, right? But it doesn't mean that it's not going to move back up. It just means that it took a hit right now. So the focus, my focus, is on the assets that actually would move the market first, ones that are a lot more secure. I'm not willing to go down 1,800% on Bitcoin. And honestly, if I were to take a measurement from 20% to where we are right now, you're talking about a 200% hit on that. XRP already did that, right? So what you do is you just make a plan. You don't burn the house down at this spot. What you do is you break it off into levels that feel like you can sustain. And then when it does eventually come down here, you end up making some kind of gain and not waiting for your bag to recover with all of this move. So what's important at this point is to figure out exactly where the opportunity might be. Now, I'm not going to look at any other coin other than Bitcoin right now, because I want to now extend a couple of things as far as like plan goes. First of all, this is the channel that it was in, and this is the halfway mark in the channel. Okay, notice we came back into the channel. We broke out of the channel and we came right back in. And this is where we are right now. If it does not bounce at this point, then it will hit here. Oh, surprise, surprise. Where is that? That is over here. That is over here. That is right over here. This was the previous support before the breakout. It makes sense that it would come down here. So if you wanted to buy some in here, don't get overzealous. Don't go nuts, right? Just expose yourself to that opportunity, because eventually what happens is that all of these people, and it's not just, hold on a second. It's not just one person that's hanging out over here. It's actually a whole crowd of people. A lot of people are sitting up here. A lot are sitting up here. So is it possible that we come back up over here and then some of these guys might get out in this area? Well, you know what that becomes? This becomes resistance again, right? And this ends up becoming, you know, an area of support, or this becomes an area of support. So let me draw out a couple of new lines here so that I can work out a plan. So first of all, let's take this line here. That's the bottom of the range. And we're going to put this up here, which is the top of the previous range. You can see it right over here. This is that zone. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark out some areas now. I'm going to grab this. This is an order block down here. I'm going to pull this out. I'm going to make sure that we're really in the spot here. So here we go. And what I'm going to call this is the range low. Okay, because we're in the previous range. And you can see where the range high is. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to move it up here, just like so. Looks like all of these are touching. Yep, and we've got that over there. Great. So I'm going to make this one now the range high. Let's make that green. Oh goodness. Let's go here. This is green right there. Okay, I'm going to fade this out a bit, because this is our zone. All right, this is the new zone. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep this very simple. I'm going to grab the range low to the range high, and I'm going to find the middle. There we go. Here is the 50% line. Ugh, why did I do that? Let me do this. Right here. Just like so. Okay? And I mean, like, look where we are. Actually, let me make that a little bit brighter so you can see it. Okay? And I'll put a dotted line. And I will write on here 50% line. 50% line. Okay? Now, we've got the golden pockets in between. I won't mark that out right now. But what this is telling me is that with this huge drop, I mean, this is an incredible drop. Is it possible that we can find some kind of relief that bounces back up? I intended to somewhere along the way. And while we are in extreme fear, again, everything is pointing to a buy opportunity. Everything is pointing to a buy opportunity. We are at 11. 11. That's crazy. And if you look at the low for the year it was November, the November low was 10. We are 4 notches away from it. No, I'm sorry. We're 1 notch away from it. 1. Okay? Yesterday's fear was 14. Now we're at 11. To me, this, if anything, is buy and hold, deal with the dip. That's the way that I'm seeing it. Okay? So as far as like, you know, is crypto worthless, anything like that? Honestly, it's proven itself over and over again. And you need to start looking at the right assets. If you're not looking at the right assets, you're going to find yourself in a very gambling situation, right? So Bitcoin, ETH, and Sol have proven itself so well that these, to me, are the ones that you should be looking at for any kind of direction in the market, or even, you know, buying and holding, right? Because there's a lot behind them that do it. Everything else at this point is not worth looking at unless you're willing to take the risk of buying very low and, you know, just use as little capital as possible, right? So this is how I'm seeing this. As this dips down here, if it comes down here, I will be buying again. And just so you know, what I did was I did buy in this section. I bought a bag, right? Bag. I started a bag here, right? And I added on to my bag here. I did a plus plus, right? Just like I laid out to you guys in the thing. And now down here, I'll have a plus plus again. And again, you know, this is my comfort level. You know, I've got, look, you don't really need that much. You can do it with $100. You can do it with $50. You can do it with 1,000. Just don't bet the house on it, right? Because if it ends up going down here, you feel ruined. You know, don't do it. Down here will give you another opportunity to buy in. Believe me, this is not going to go down forever. The opportunities, they come, they you know, they show their head. And again, like, you've got patterns like this. Look, we're in a channel. We're at the 50% line. So what? It moved down really fast. Sorry, like, everyone got caught in it, right? The people who shorted are doing fantastic. But just because it's moving down as fast as it is doesn't mean that there's not going to be an opportunity later on for you to make any kind of gains. Even if you're holding up here. Even if you're holding up here. You just got to make a plan that's smart for you. Anyway, I thought I would talk about the Fear and Greed Index. There's a lot of news going around. Please let the chart speak to you. I mean, you know, from the material that's been coming out, from the files that people are going through, to who Satoshi is, to, you know, Binance selling, everything's interweaved with each other. Everything is braided. Everything is braided. And the more FUD there is, the more likely you're going to say, I need to sell my bag right here. Like, again, if I put my money in a bank, right, and it was giving me 3% interest, and the bank was suffering monetarily, and I held it in there for 4 months straight, I wouldn't know what this 3% is doing if it's going like this or that. I just know it's in the bank, right? If you're going to buy here, then have a long-term plan, so that if it does dip down here and it comes back over here, at least you're not sweating down here like, I made the wrong choice. All right, guys. I hope you do well. Be safe. Talk to you soon. Bye.